Edyta Sitar from Laundry Basket Quilts. Welcome to Quilting Window. I'm so excited that you took the time to quilt with me. I love to show you how I do tree farm quilt. The quilt that is behind me, it's made from a Tree of Life block. I absolutely love this quilt. It was a gift to my husband for his 40th birthday. I made the quilt behind me with all different scraps and triangles that I exchange with my friends. Let me show you how I make a block for this quilt. I have my quilting basket today for you, and in my quilting basket I got some fun things. First of all, we have a pattern. This pattern has all the directions for cutting, everything that we need to make the quilt. There are 18 blocks in this quilt. We're gonna focus on one block today just to go through it. Once you know how to make a one, you can make a dozens or 18 or as many as you want it for a table runner, for a quilt. I also have a template. That's the tree farm template. I like using this template. You're gonna see how I cut my background fabric with this template. This is something I recommend. In the pattern, you have a paper template, and you can use the paper one if you would like. I like the acrylic ones. They last a little longer. Then I'm also going to use a triangle paper. There are many different triangle papers out on the market. One of my favorite triangle paper is the one for exchange triangles. There are 28 half square triangles that comes out from the paper. This one has 18. Coincident, in our block you need 18 triangles for the tree, half square triangle units for the tree, so one sheet is perfect for one tree. Perfect to try it and practice. So those are the few things that I have in my basket. I also have put in Macrotex needle. They're perfect for piecing, and I love to piece over my paper with it. We're gonna make the stitch a little bit tighter together, as well as I put our newest threads with Wonderfill, and these threads have all different colors. So if you need a light, you got it here. If you need a little oranges and red, they're here, greens and blues. This should be perfect for piecing a quilt like this, where you want to switch the thread sometimes to accommodate the fabric and the colors that you're playing with it. Okay, that's for our quilting basket. We're going to use fabrics from our stash, and I'm gonna make a scrappy quilt. So you could use a brown for the tree trunks. This is the part right here, so we need a brown for that. Then I have a selection of light and darks. Those are 10-inch squares because they're gonna work perfectly with my triangle paper. So 10-inch squares would work great, and I have 18 darks and 18 lights because I have 18 trees, and some of the trees I can make it from one color, but also I can mix and match, and then I have a really nice selection. So I chose some favorite lights. Those are from Sonoma. When I'm choosing my fabrics, I use rule of 5. Big print, medium print, stripes, polka dots, small print. So those the rule that I use. So you have the big print, you have a batik, and I mix batiks with prints all the time. It gives a fun flavor to my quilt. I want my quilts to look truly scrappy. The same in my lights. Notice you have some batiks, and then right next to it you have some printed fabric, and it's gonna look wonderful. You're gonna look like some of the colors got melted on the batiks. I love that. Now, one of the most important parts of this quilt is your background fabric, and right in front of me I have 3 different backgrounds. I wanted to share with you something that I noticed as I make scrappy quilts. When I choose very light background, my piecing come to the front. The blocks, the colors bounce off the quilt. When I put a very light background for right here for this area. The medium one settle things down just a little bit. Notice the difference. And then when I want to pull the colors back, if I have a lot of all different colorful scraps, then I use something more tea-dye, something that will hold all the scrappiness together and pull the colors a little bit back. So that is the 3 options that I would recommend. Very light if you want your colors to bounce forward and just really stand out and the quilt to be nice and crispy. Medium light if you prefer nice and settle. On the medium light you also get to see your quilting a little bit nicer, a little bit better. And then the darker light, the tea-dye light, and for that one I chose the batik, and that one will pull your colors back and make this look feel like Michigan fall, where the fog comes down. And girls, if you've never gone north in Michigan in the fall, you've got to do it. It is beautiful. All right, so we have our fabrics. I'm gonna put them to the side, and I started by making my half square triangle units. I'm gonna take two pieces of fabric together. There's a 10-inch squares. I'm gonna take my dark and my light. I'm gonna place my dark in the bottom, my light in the top, and I place them right sides together. I love to press those two fabrics really nice. Then the next thing, I'm going to go ahead and put my triangle paper right on the top of it. Notice that my triangle paper doesn't come to the edges all the way. I give myself a little bit room around the edges, and I'm gonna put a pins to pin my paper in place to prepare for the next step what it's sewing. Where do I put the pin? I put them away from the dotted line because I'm going to be sewing on the dotted line. So I put my pins at the crossing of the straight lines. So I have two pins right here, two pins on each side, and now I'm preparing my sewing machine. I'm gonna put my Macrotex needle in it, and you can put a thicker needle if you wanted to break the paper. For me, I like the thinner needle. I don't have to break the paper too hard with the needle because this paper is really nice. It's a recycled paper from newsprint, so it comes off really easy, and this is gonna just bring the thread through it and don't push that paper down to my sewing machine. I'm going to use a cotton thread in a bobbin and cotton thread in the top of my machine. I'm using thread weight 50, where it's a lighter thread, so it doesn't build up as much into my seams because I'm making my stitches smaller. So if your machine is set on 2.5, 2.3 on a length of your stitches, you need to go one notch down to 1.5, 1.7. So not too tight, but a little bit smaller, so that way the stitches stay nice and close together. Break the thread for me, break the paper for me, and then don't build up too much of the thread. Okay, so I set up my machine. I'm gonna start sewing right here from this point where it said sew and an arrow, and it shows you direction. You're gonna go straight down, come back, and then you're gonna start here, go all the way around, and then second time, and you are going to be all done with it in no time. I have one paper that I just finished right here. Notice it beautifully sewn together, and I'm gonna bring to the table one of my favorite things. It's my rotating cutting table. Do you have one of those? If not, you must get it. I absolutely love it. So what I'm going to do is place my paper right on it. And why do I like it? Because I can rotate as I'm trimming, and I don't have to cross my arms to go around the paper. It's super fun and easy. I love my Creative Grids rulers. They have a nice grippies on the back, and what I'm gonna do is start by placing my ruler around the edges, around the straight line on the edges, and with my rotary I'm gonna trim it all the way around. Look at this. Turn, and next side. Isn't it nice? And you can just take your time and do that, and one more time, and I'm gonna keep going like this. I wanted to show you how I do it because many of you have emailed me and asked me what is the perfect way of trimming your triangle paper. To me, I start by trimming the outside first. All right, so once I have trimmed it on the outside, now I'm gonna go ahead and go for the longest straight lines, and I'm gonna start with my vertical right here. and the next one, and notice, turn, look at how fun this is, and again this line, perfect, and again, look at how quickly this happened. I absolutely love it. And now my last lines that I'm gonna cut on is the straight lines that gonna separate my triangle units. This is wonderful. I am so excited about it. I am looking forward to 18 wonderful half square triangles. This technique is so much fun if you have friends and they have a stash of fabric and they like to exchange. This is going to be wonderful to do it because you can make 18 triangles. They're all the same color. Grab 18 of your friends, swap it with them on Saturday morning. It's wonderful to do that. And now I have a bunch of them done, and look at this, in no time you open it up and you have a beautiful half square triangle unit. Next step, what we're going to do is we're going to press it. We're going to press. Remember, don't use steam when you're pressing. You're keeping the paper on the triangles. The paper keeps your triangle from stretching. So keep the paper right on. And the first thing, I'm going to beautifully press to open the seam. Then with a small scissors, I would be trimming the bunny ears, or you can go ahead and peel the paper off. And look at it, I'm gonna take it apart, peel it away, peel this side away, and now I'm gonna take my little scissors and trim and trim. Voila. You will repeat it 18 times and you're gonna have a wonderful selection of half square triangles. I'm gonna put this to the side and move on to our next step, what it's cutting the remaining pieces. So for our next thing, we're still gonna need our cutting board. Let me get this cutting board. I'm gonna keep my triangles right here so they're not gonna get lost anywhere, but I need my beautiful cutting board. All right, so next thing that we need, we now have made bunch of half square triangle units, so they're gonna be right here in our blocks, but we also need some setting triangles right here on a side. Those triangles are cut from squares, and I have a square right here, and all that I'm gonna do is make the square the right measurements, 2 7/8, then cut it in half, and I'm gonna make few of those half square triangles. They're going to be my setting triangles for this part of the block right here. So we have our half square triangle units for here, and those are setting triangle for this area. Perfect. And you can use them from all different scraps. Remember, those are half square triangles. Next, we're gonna take our background and we need to cut large triangles. Those triangles will be here. So they are cut from a square. So I'm gonna have a square and then cut once diagonally for 2 half square triangle. We need 2 of them for each side of our tree. Perfect, we got that done. Let's put this in front of us. Now we need a triangle for the bottom of our tree right here. Notice it. I'm gonna cut a square again, beautiful square, once diagonally, and now I have 2 half square triangles. I'm gonna use one for this tree, and then second one I'm gonna save it for another tree. I'm gonna put it to the side, and this is the part where we're going to use our template. We need this unit right here, the sides of our tree. Notice that we have a left and a right side of this of the tree. So what I like to do is I take a strip of fabric. The strip is the measurements for the strip is in the pattern. Now I'm gonna fold it wrong sides together. I'm gonna place it right next to me. I'm gonna go this way because I'm right-handed, I'm gonna take my beautiful template. Notice I place my template right on my two strips. Why did I put them wrong sides together? Because with one cut, I'm gonna get a left and a right side of my tree. I'm gonna start by trimming. Super. Turn my board around. Let's see what I can do now. I'm gonna cut it right here. And then what I like to do is take this template away for a second. I don't like wasting my fabric. I'm gonna put a ruler that extends all the way down. I'm gonna finish cutting. Move this gently to the side, place it back, put my template back right down. Super, fits perfectly. Let me finish cutting. Stop. And did you see why did I cut it all the way? Because I didn't want to, with this cut into this fabric and then waste. I don't like to waste, like I said. This is gonna go to the side, and now notice it. I have two pieces left and a right, and they're going to be our perfect pieces for our tree, for this and this side of the tree. Isn't it great? Okay, so with one cut, I have cut those left and a right side of our tree. And you're gonna ask me how keep cutting for Moa. Look at this. I just flip my template, cut, and I would have another set, and I can keep going like this, cutting from longer strips and cut as many trees as I needed for this quilt. What it's 18 trees. For now, we're gonna put this to the side, and we're gonna see what else do we need it. So we have the light background cut. This is little extra. Now we have the triangles done. We need to cut our tree trunk. From our brown fabric, we're going to cut the tree trunk. Let me move this here so you get to see everything in front of me, because this part is super important. So I did this. I'm gonna cut my tree trunk. The measurements for that rectangle are in the pattern, so follow that measurements. And I like to press my fabric with best press before I cut, because that way the fabric is nice and stiff and allows me to cut fun angles and nothing is moving and fraying. Now I'm gonna need those little sides to my tree trunk, and those are cut from a square, okay, like this. This time this square is cut twice diagonally, one time and a second time, for 4/4 square triangles. Two of those I can use on my next tree. Two of those right away going to go here and here. Look at that. Now I need the top of the tree. This one is cut square, cut once diagonally, 2 half square triangle. For this top, this one is gonna go for my next tree. And remember, we cut that bottom triangle before, and this is going to go right here. So this part is a little tricky part to piece it together, so I'm gonna take a little bit more time to show you. First of all, always lay your unit in front of you. That way you can see where all the pieces need to go. And I'm going to start by sewing this to this. And you probably gonna ask me, well, how do I match this up? Do I put it more here or here? What I like to do is I take this, fold it in half, gently crease it. Do you see what I just did? And I look at it on this, where is the middle, and I can see it. It's right there. You can measure it, and then I place this right there, and notice how nice the bunny ears are sticking out on each side. I will put a pin, zoom, zoom, zoom. The same thing on this side, center it up. So fold it in half, crease it, Then look at it, you can measure this and mark it where the middle is. That's the easiest way to do it. And you place it right here. Now you're gonna pin it, zoom, zoom, zoom. When you finish, you're gonna open this up, push towards dark, open it up, push towards dark. Now you're gonna sew this to this on each side, push towards the tree trunk, at the top, at the bottom, and you will be done with the tree trunk unit. It should be 8.5 inches unfinished, 8.5 inches unfinished. All right, I have one that it's already put together, and I'm going to start laying out the whole tree for you. I am so excited. Oh, before I start doing that, there is another unit that I like to piece before, and I basically, in the pattern, it shows you the tree is made from units. So I like you to go ahead and do those units before you put the whole tree block together. So right here, this is the top of your tree, right here. The top of your tree, right here. We just finished this unit where is the tree trunk. Now let's do the top of the tree, and we're gonna start by just laying our fabrics out. We're using half square triangle units. We also went and cut a few extra 2.5 inch squares from our scraps to fill it up, those areas right here. And now I'm gonna lay them into 3 rows, and I will sew them together. When I lay my blocks out, I start by placing my pieces right sides together like this. Sew it, zoom, 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 zoom. I do chain sewing, open it up. Then I go ahead and I sew this to this right here. And now I'm ready to sew this to this to this. When we did our half square triangle units, we had no choice but push that seam towards dark. But now, where do we push our seam allowances? You can push them on an opposite direction so you can lock the seams as you're sewing, or you can press them open. Either way will work wonderful. I try both ways. You just have to try which one works better for you. In the pattern you have arrows and directions where to press it, so follow those if you would like to, or press the seams open. Once you finish this unit, you are ready for the sides of your quilt, and I am so excited because I have them already prepared for you. All right, so notice this. We did the tree top, we did the tree trunk, and notice it how I lay my block not on point front of me. It's easier for me to think about the block instead of doing this way. It's a little bit confusing to me. So try both ways and see which way is better for you. For me, this is easier. I have my tree top. Now I have my tree trunk. I have completed 2 units like this, left and a right. So now I need to place them down. They're going to go right here, right here. Notice it, how nice. Then I have my triangles made from 3 half square triangle units plus those extra triangles that we have cut, and those going to go with this triangle background, and we have one for this side as well. Okay, so I now have all the pieces that I need to make my block. And what would I do is, so look at this, I'm gonna pull the units apart, and in the pattern this is what you're gonna find. You make this unit, you make left and a right, you make your side unit, and notice the side unit are both the same. There's just one on one side, then this one is on the other side. you will take the triangle, you place it right over, and you're gonna stitch right here, trim bunny ears. This fabric, when this triangle, when you open, I like to push it towards the light. I pay attention that I choose beautiful light that doesn't show through the seams, but I don't like the bulk. If I push it towards this area, it's too bulky for me. So once I sew it, push this way, do the same here. Now I'm gonna take this unit, sew it to it. This unit, again, place it right sides together, zoom, 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 sew it, and now I almost have a 4-patch. 1, 2, 3, 4. This to this, this to this. Then push it over, sew it together. Make sure you use a lot of nice pins, and as you piecing, check your 1/4-inch seam allowance. When you finish units, this should be 6.5 unfinished, 6.5 by 8.5 unfinished, 6.5 by 8.5 unfinished, 8.5 by 8.5. So you have all the 4 pieces into this beautiful tree puzzle that you can put it together. And like I said, you're gonna put those together, press it, put it just together, make sure that this matches wonderfully, and in no time you're going to have your first tree for your tree farm in your scrappy fabrics. This beautiful design can be made in any colors, and I brought on my table some of our newest collection. Evergreen would be perfect, and we have the most beautiful layer cake, and I brought the evergreen layer cake for you to see. So look at all the different greens that you can use, and like I said, each piece of fabric will give you 18 half square triangles, enough for 1 tree, so that's perfect. And the layer cakes have 42 different fabrics. There are some lights in it, but you have a lot of nice darks, and you can use some of the leftover fabrics to cut those setting triangles. So getting a layer cakes for the trees would be wonderful. For your lights, we have the most beautiful Sonoma lights. Again, it would be perfect selection for this area. And notice when I lined up my trees, I keep my lightest one on the top of the crown of my trees, so it feels like a sun just burst right here on the top and just sprinkle through some lightness through the sides of the tree. Keep the darker lights right in the middle. And this Sonoma gives you beautiful honey lights, going a little bit darker, going to the lightest ones. Really nice selection. If you want your tree to be like a rainbow, like the ones in Michigan in the fall, this maybe it's the bundle to use it. It's from our linen texture. So there are a lot of fun things, and if you would like us to have kits, just request them. We gladly make some scrappy quilts for you, scrappy kits for you, so that way you can make the most beautiful quilt, tree farm quilt with it, and enjoy your project. No matter which colors you choose, I hope you have a wonderful time picking leaves in the fall. Happy quilting!